Alright guys, as part of the revamp of the workshop, I guess I wanted to get a little bit smarter on tool storage, get a little bit more organised. So what I'm going to do is make up a pegboard that's going to mount at the back of my lathe here, so that I can mount all of my Multifix tooling. So I've got an angle bracket here which is pre-bolted on. I've got another one up the other end which I'm going to move up, and I want to mount everything in this area here. So I want to try and get 15 of these mounted. So I'm going to make up a pegboard, I guess, that's we have a series of pegs that will fit into these little slotted holes here to get them mounted. So I've got a board all set up in the milling machine. Now I want to try and get these done fairly accurately. So I'm going to be using some bolts to make up, which will pass through the pegboard, nut on one side, washer and nut on the other side, and I'll cut the heads off, and those M8s fit in there quite nicely. So I've got to make these reasonably accurately because it's a reasonably neat fit in there. So we'll head on over to the milling machine and have a bit of a look at the setup. Alright, so here's the pegboard I've got mounted up. I'm going to be doing 3 rows of 5, so a row down here, row down here, and then a row down here. So I'll be able to get 15 of these quick change Multifix tool posts mounted onto here. And as I said, I want to do this fairly accurately, so it'll be an 8mm hole dropping through, and I'm going to use a spade bit to countersink in so that the nut, when it goes in, sits down below the surface. So I'll show you how that comes together, but we'll get set up, get a datum point started, and we can start knocking this out. The beauty of having a Bridgeport is that I can actually move the head in and out. I won't get full travel on this to get all the way out to here, but I can move the head out, reset, and then start again. So it should be reasonably quick. We'll see how we go. Alright, we'll make a start. So I've actually set up all my distances between my holes. So I've zeroed out on my DRO, so I've got to go 70, 204, 274, and 408, and then coming down we've got to go 74, 148, 222, and 996 at the very end. So we'll get as much done as with the spade bit as we can. Now we'll swap over to our 8mm, and I've got a wasteboard underneath here as well, so I don't drill into the table, and it gives me something for this to run through into. Depth I need to go is 6.5mm, which is the thickness of the nut, to make sure that when we press that in it's below. I'm using a 1/2 inch bit here, so it will be a slight press in through the points here. Alright, let's see how we go. I must admit I hate using woodwork on my metal machines, but this is going to be the easiest way to do this job. Righto, we'll drill through the diameter 8, so I've only got another 1-2 rows to go, but as I said, I can move the head forward to pick up and re-zero and go away again. So we'll get these 8mm ones knocked through. As I said, we've done these countersinks, if you like, to be able to mount the nuts in, and that'll be a press-in fit. It's clearance on the flats, but on the points there it'll be a press, so it'll displace some of the timber, but it'll make a nice tight fit in there, I hope. Righto guys, so we're going to move forward to the next set of holes. So to do that I've got to move the ram or the head forward. So I've loosened it off. And we'll just come forward like So I'll measure that up, get that where it needs to go as the first datum point, and then we'll make a start. Alright, that's that all done. I resisted trying to blow this because I hate wood in my workshop. I've got it all over the ways down here, so I've got to clean all that up. But we'll get this unclamped, I'll take it outside and we'll get rid of all the dust and we'll start fitting up one, and we'll sort of see how it's going to look. Alright guys, back in a tick. Alright, so this pegboard has come up really, really well. I'm really happy with this. The next thing is to try and see if I can set in, excuse my hand around the camera, one of these nuts. So there we go. And there we go. So it's an inset nut. I'll give you a better closer look at that. Show you how it's going to come up. It's come up beautifully. So I'll continue that on. Get the rest of the pegboard finished off. We'll get the bolts that we've got. We'll cut the heads off to set our shanks up to get those screwed in, and then we'll bolt them in from the back as well. So I think it's going to work really well. Alright guys, we'll see you in a little while. Alright guys, that's all the nuts embedded into the pegboard. And I'll tell you what, those nuts are never coming out. They're in tight. They are in very tight. So I'm sort of inclined to kind of leave it like that rather than putting the second nuts on the back. I'll put them right through and I'll lock up. So when I screw these down nice and tight, they're nice and home. They're not going anywhere. So yeah, we might, we'll see how we go. Whether I put the double nuts and washers on the back, but no, I'm really impressed with how that's come up. Alright guys, we'll move it on, and I'll see about getting it cut to length and getting it mounted. Alright guys, I'll see you in a tick. Alright guys, that's how it's sort of going to look mounted on the splash guard. So I did get the splash guard out, it wasn't easy. I've got to make some modifications to make that easier to get out next time around. I'll come around the back here. So I've got these angles that I'm using to mount it off, and I've moved up that one there from where its location at the very end. I've moved that up and relocated that. So I'm going to spot through on these, and then I might set them up in the mill again to actually get them nice and square, because I drilled all the way through on this one and yeah, it wasn't real straight. So we'll fix that up. I'm going to use coach bolts to mount into this, so that they actually have the square head or the square boss on them that will lock them in place. So I'll countersink them or counterbore them so they actually sit a little bit below the surface. And I'm going to put a plastic sheet over this. We'll contact that on to protect the tooling from any staining from the timber or any paint that I put on there. Alright, well I'll straighten this hole up and we'll get things sorted out, and we'll show you how it all looks when we're done. Righto, so we've drilled through in the 4 locations. I'm going to try and counterbore this. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully it doesn't fly off. I have clamped it down to try and make it a bit more secure, but we'll see how central we get just by eye. That's not too bad. Come on to this one. I haven't got this squared up, so I'll have to eyeball each one as I do them, but that's fine. Oh, that was a bit harder to line up, that one, because that was the one that went through pretty crooked when I drilled it by hand. Alright, we'll see how that's all going to look bolted up, and we'll move on. I do want to varnish probably the back of it to give it some protection. As I said, over this front face here we're going to put the black plastic that will lay in place. We'll cut the shape and we'll spot through these holes here. Alright, we'll see how that looks all mounted up. Alright guys, so we've got that board mounted, and the other thing I want to do is to make up a rack or a stand to be able to mount my drill chucks and centers in. So I'm going to mount that along here. So I've got a couple of these brackets I bought, pretty cheap, $3 each, down at my local Bunnings, and I've cut them off to a set length. And I'm just screwing them into fit. So this is the second one I'm going to fit up into place. Once again, we'll use the same board as this to go across the top, and I'll put a series of holes in it to be able to mount those Morse tapers in place. So while I've got this all out, I thought, well, let's get it really organised and make it an awful lot better than what it was, rather than having tooling sort of floating around everywhere. It's going to be all in one easy to reach convenient spot. Alright guys, I'll get this second one mounted up, and I'll get this board made up and show you how that's going to look. Alright, so I've made up this little pallet rack here for my centres and drill chucks, and I've just marked where I'm going to drill through for the centres. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to contact adhesive on the black plastic, and then I'm going to drill through with the black plastic on a backing board so it doesn't tear as the bit comes through, and obviously the same with this one as well. Had a bit of a think about how I'm going to transfer the hole through to the black plastic when it's contact adhesive on here to get these holes right. So got a couple of ideas we're going to try to get those opened up so that I can put the screw the pegs through. I'm going to radius this off as well just to make it look the same as the centre and chuck pallet there. I might mention too that this is all the leftover wood that I had when I made up the little transportable pallet for the headstock extender that I made up for the lathe. So just reusing that, and I've got a little bit left over. I have to buy some more, but I've got an idea for doing all the heavy tooling for the milling machine, how I'm going to do that. And that's going to be in 3 stages, so that'll be an interesting concept. That we'll see how that comes up. Anyway, we'll get this off. I'll get the black plastic contact adhesed on, and we'll go on from there. Right, so I've just done a little testy here. I've just put a hole through and then punched one of our hexing headed nuts into place. I'm going to glue a bit of this plastic over the top of it with some contact adhesive. I'm going to see if I can transfer it through from the back end and then counterbore back where that transfer punch mark is, and see if we can open it up for the pins to go on. Got to make sure when I do the big tool pallet, the big tool peg rack, that I actually put the coach bolts in first before I put this over the top. That's one of the reasons of using the square heads, that they're not going to slip if I ever have to take this off. I won't be able to get access to them once this plastic sheet is in place. Alright, we'll let that go off for about 20 minutes. We'll come back and stick the 2 halves together, and we will see how we go transferring a hole through and then using one of the spade bits to counterbore back inside. Alright guys, we'll see you in a tick. Righto, so it's lost its tackiness. We'll stick those two halves together and we'll see how we go. The thing is, with contact adhesive, once you get the two halves together, it's not a pretty sight trying to get them off. Righto, so here's one of these transfer punches, and that's quite a neat fit through that nut. Let's just see if we can transfer onto the black plastic. Oh, that's created a bit of a bump. All right. Might just go again and see if we can get it to pierce. Sort of. All right, well, I've got an 8mm spade bit here. We're going to try and pick up the centre as best we can and come down and see if we can just core that out so we can put our pins through. Alright, it's got a little bit of a ring down there. I'll see if we can punch that through. Alright, we'll try one of our pins in there and we'll see how that's going to look. Well, I'll tell you what, that has come up perfect. I think that's going to be the way to go. That's sealed up beautifully around that pin. Alright, we'll get on and get the main sheets contacted on now that we have a bit of a procedure that we're going to use to transfer through and get the hole put into it. Alright, I'll see you in a tick, fellas. Alright, we'll go and coat the plastic now, and we'll let that get tacky, and then we'll put them together. Alright, this plastic that I'm using, it's just a soft plastic. It's not a high density plastic, hard plastic. I spoke to the Resiplex people and they said this is the best one to use with a contact adhesive. It's 1.4mm thick, so it's not thick, reasonably flexible. Makes it a little bit harder to get in place when we contact it, but let's see how we go. Alright, so we've had the centre and drill chuck holder under clamp pressure for a while. I've had the main lathe tool holder under quite a pressure for a couple of hours. So we'll strip all that down, we'll get the edges all tidied up, and we'll start trying to bore out our little holes for our pegs. Alright guys, we'll get this all tidied up and we'll come back when we're ready to try and get those peg holes done. Alright, well this has come up really well. A bit of dust and a little bit of contact adhesive on it, but It's come up the absolute bee's knees, so no, very, very happy with that. So what we'll do is we'll flip it upside down and we'll get through and start our centre punching to mark up the front end so that we can get prepared for drilling. Alright, let's get that happening. Alright guys, that's come up really, really well. I found that if I just touched the nut with the spade bit, it caught it right out, so there's nothing there to take out anymore. They've all gone through beautifully. The next thing I want to do is the chip guard that this mounts to. I want to take that outside and give that a really good thorough cleaning. And I want to give my my lathe a good clean down as well before I put that back in. I've got a small mod to do on some of the structure on that to make it easier to get in and out. Its new location doesn't lend itself to get in and out very easy, so we'll do a little mod for that. Then we'll get those mounted up and we're done. Oh, one thing I will do is I'll varnish around the timbers on these just to seal them off, just so if any coolant or anything does get up there, it's not going to affect it. But no, really pleased with how that's come up, fellas. All right, we'll see you in a tick. All right, guys, I've just got to drill the holes through for the Morse 3 tapers onto the. I'm drilling through from the back of this center and drill chuck holder, just so that I don't rip the plastic out when I'm breaking through. So it's going to break through into that wasteboard. All right, that's come up really well. Very, very happy with that. I'll get that cleaned up and I'm ready to give that a coat of varnish, and then we're ready to mount it. All right, guys, see you in a tick. Righto, guys, we've got our tooling pegboard all mounted up now. I've got to put all the pegs in. The easiest way to do that, I found, is just with the battery drill. Like so. Very, very tight. I don't think I'm even going to worry about putting the nuts and bolts on the back end of these, because those nuts are in beautifully embedded into that timber. Alright, guys. That's them all mounted up. What I'll do next is I'll mount up my unit there for my centres. I might have a bit of an issue here. I'm just looking at this and these may fail. I might have to shorten those up. We'll have to have a bit of a look and see what happens, but I might have made a little bit of a blue there. I'm just looking at that now. Let's see how things look. Alright, so that's how the pegboard has come up for the tools, so you know, it's sliding quite easily. These ones, I've had to sacrifice two lower ones unfortunately, which is a bit of a pain, but everything fits around it okay. No issues. It goes on nice and easily. So yeah, very, very happy with that. So rather than having 15 tools, it'll be back to 13. So I've got another 4 that I need to make up, and I do have the blanks for those. The centre and chuck pallet, that's come up really nice. Everything slips in and out of that nice and easy. That one there, I will have to just take the tool out to get to it. That's neither here nor there, is it? But yeah, look, I'm really happy with that. It's going to make things an awful lot more organised around here, and I reckon it looks really good. I've cleaned the lathe right up, so I'll give you guys a bit of a look over that, and we'll show you how it all looks. So it's come up, well, not you, but it's like you for me. So I'll have a quick look at that, All right, so that's how it all looks. It's taken me the best part of the day to get this all cleaned up, but it's come up $1 million. Actually see my indexing mechanism. At the back I've got an index that I can mount in the back of the spindle there. It's not perfect, but it's an awful lot better than what it was. Alright guys, well that's it. We'll leave it at that. I've got a fair bit more work to do in the shop here for organisation, and just a little tidbit, I am picking up a new tool for the workshop, which is something I've been looking for the last 4 or 5 years, and no, it's not a lathe, but it will be here hopefully in the next month. Alright guys, we'll leave it at that, and we'll catch you guys soon. See you for now.